we wanted to get David in here, or Your Honor, if you will.
No, thanks, just David.
In the studio. Talk a little bit about a couple of different things. One, Brandenburg and how that's going now that you're in your second stint, I guess, as mayor. And then talk about the fair coming up. I mean, it's the fair's always coming, right?
It's always here.
But let's talk about Brandenburg a little bit and see what are some of the things that are going on, and are there some things that you need that you're working on? I'm sure there's always things, but tell us what's going on.
I think one of the two things that really made me want to come back and do this, kind of the unfair part for everybody else, was the city was so far in on a brand new sewer treatment plant, so far in on a brand new water plant, or increasing the size of both and making it for the community to grow. And I took that on as a challenge for myself, because both of those projects are 1 million. The other one's about 3 million.
Right.
And really, it ended up being split.
I don't think there's anything that's not $1 million or 2 million. We were just talking about playgrounds a while ago and a few minutes ago, and it's $1 million. To put in just for the equipment, to put in the equipment and such, not even the land and such.
Zero labor to put it in. Too.
Oh my gosh.
But right now, I'm happy to say we have the water plant, which is the $1 million. We are at the point we've actually done both walkthroughs with both the contractors on that project, and hopefully by next week our grant funding will be here so we can pay that loan amount down. That'll be able to get us out of that debt of interest going on that, so that'll be paid for once it's completed.
Right.
The sewer treatment plant, we're finalized. We had an extra add-on charge that was a extra cleaning of the lagoons, which means it's not a pleasant thing, but it was an extra charge that wasn't thought about that was going to happen. But when we got that cleaned out, we've got that settled. We're close to having that 100% completed. So that project, the water be finished, that allows us. Then the third project is on Mormon Road, where the old burn pile used to be. The new court deeded that to the city of Brandenburg, and we're going to put about a 250,000 gallon elevated tire there for extra water.
Oh, good.
It'll be able to supply needs for new core, that direction, but it'll take care of the east end of the bypass, which is a higher point of the city of Brandenburg. People don't realize that elevations makes a big difference, and there's times right now that Food Court Alley, as I call it out there, Hartledge Way, it actually will get a little starved for water at times when there's a lot going on within the city, or if there's a draw in one of the businesses.
I think we noticed some over actually. Is the whole bypass on city water?
Yes.
So in the inside and outside.
Yes, should be.
I was thinking,
both sides.
Because I'm gonna say I think Journey Church is on.
It would be
city,
affected,
right?
just like I'm talking.
Yeah. So because every now and then we'll see it during. But I was like, okay, is that city or is that county there? But it's all on the bypass. So
now, will that infrastructure help with? I know when Mayor Claycomb was there before he left, he had talked about moving.
Water and sewer is already in place for that property along 228 in the bypass. That's already completed for that. Once this new tire is elevated, there's a tire on Large Street now that will be able to control that water in that area. So the 3 tanks we'll have then, instead of just 2 tanks feeding the whole city of Brandenburg, this will allow us now with 3 tanks to balance that scale all the way across the city.
So we have 2 tanks. There's 2 tanks in Brandenburg right now. One is out Old State Road, the one that we all kind of see in.
That's been there a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been there since I can ever remember. So
correct.
And then where's the other?
We just built one on Lawrence Street. Well,
Lawrence?
It started when I was here before, and then Ronnie finished that. It's right almost across the street from my home, so it's in the field. Belongs to the Smith family, and that's where it's actually on there. So in that range, those 2 will be able to, and we'll take such a load off of the 500,000 gallon tank, which is on Old State Road. that will give us that other flow.
So we can just how large is the one on Lawrence Street?
It's 500 also.
It's okay.
We got a 500,000. We got about 1 million gallons of water in the air. At the water treatment plant, we have 1 million gallons in what we call a clear well. So we have at all times about 2 million gallons of water
ready to move,
finished product. Okay. And the only thing is that water's having to go all the way to the tires before it can go into the system.
Right, because it's got to pump up to
be delivered. Yeah. And make sure.
And so the third tower will go out Mormon Road. And so that's a good spread. That sounds like it would cover most of the city.
It's 3 places.
City limits. So
it's on both ends and in the middle.
Right. I mean, that sounds like the right. It sounds like the right way to do it. Right.
The first one, the one we always on Old State Road, they wanted to build it way out of the middle of Brandenburg.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of Brandenburg.
And that's not good. That wouldn't. I don't think that would work. So, but I think the fact that it's over there in Mormon, it's going to help with Nucor, and that's kind of a growing area over there too. Yes. Because the city limits are just out past that, right? Not too far past that.
We've annexed that. Well, Brian had worked on that. Right now, we've taken in. There's some property on 933 that ties through to the station where that's already in the city limits. The right-hand side of going out of Brandenburg, all the way to basically Everett and Hallies is now in the city of Brandenburg, been annexed in. And there's a law the counties have been working to push to stop cities from annexing properties.
Right. Yeah, so we talked about that with Mayor Claycomb before he left. So
and that is a battle. You know, cities, especially Brandenburg, we're only a wagon wheel. I've talked about this many times. Half the wagon wheel's in the river. The hub's right down on Main Street.
That's right.
And we have spokes that go all the way to the bypass, and the rim can only take so much.
Well, it's really not much different than what Louisville is, just on a much smaller scale. Right. Louisville's the same way. I mean, it's surrounded by the river, just a much larger area. But it's because we talk about thinking about like what Louisville's population and the people that get served out of Louisville, on a day-to-day basis. Jeffersonville, Clarksville, New Albany, all of those municipalities, while they have their own systems and their own, that's really, they're here because it's Louisville and it's the Falls of the Ohio is why everybody's here. That's why Louisville's there. But
and they actually take cities. They don't just annex a piece. They just take it into where the Louisville mayor then oversees all that. They have those mayors in those cities, but it works that way. And truly, Meade County Water District, that's where all the county water comes from, Louisville Water.
Yeah, through Hardin County,
right? It has to go all the way through Fort Knox to the far end of Hardin County. Then it comes where Meade County's at the tail end of that supply line.
Yeah, and I know that in some of the discussions with Judge Koch and such as, there should be we should start buying maybe more direct from Louisville, put the pipeline coming in from Louisville. Doesn't mean that we give up what's coming in from Hardin County, but we kind of need both ends because
it's like two water tires.
Yeah. I mean, we need, and the county need, and that's another thing. I'd like to see the county put another tower in a little bit closer to Brandenburg because, where we live, we're basically at the end of everything, and all the towers are.
Paintville, Flaherty, Garrett. That's where, and right now that supply line is being looked into to come down 1638.
Yeah, that would be a much
1238 intersection. That's where the connect line would be, tie in. It makes all the sense in the world other than how do you get across Otter Creek.
Yeah, and there's a tower down that way, right down 1238 somewhere, or is it actually over in Flaherty?
Well, it's right at Garrett. It's
that's what I mean.
Turn on 1238.
It's on top of the hill there, right?
Yes, right on the right.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that where that's at. But it's I'm really happy that we have county water. I remember growing up, we had a cistern. You ran on water, you're on somebody's list to go get it and just to bring it to you, or you hauled it yourself. We only had a 300-gallon tank, so we're hauling. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the experience of that when I was a kid because it taught you a lot of lessons about, hey, you got to conserve, you can't just
clean the filters.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a lot of work. But anyway, but nowadays we take it for granted almost, and now that we've the county's had a couple of problems with water pressure and running low when everybody's at home. And a lot of people don't realize when school is out, most of the kids in Meade County go to school in Brandenburg, and they're on the city.
That's one thing I try to tell everybody. You don't think about this when it comes up, but when school's in session, Brandenburg doubles in size.
That's right.
You know, we have to build everything thinking about the schools, the non-tax-paying schools, but
right.
help you put in our water plant, our sewer plant. All that has to be figured in, and then it looks great during the summertime.
That's a discussion for another show, probably, to talk about what the effect on the school system being in Brandenburg really does to Brandenburg, because it's a lot of land. I mean, the high school buys up, and again, that's maybe another show for us to talk about, because it does affect.
Board of Education, middle school, David T. Wilson, Barry Hahn, and I'm glad to help the schools. Please don't.
Absolutely.
Don't take this as
no.
David Pace is against the school.
But it's a point of education that we can educate people on how this affects, because a lot of people didn't realize why, when school was out and it got cold and kids were at home, that all those kids were using water at home instead of at school. So every time they went to the faucet and filled up their water, it was coming out of the county versus going to the bathroom, flush the toilet.
And let me explain one piece here that a lot of people ask about. The city used to sell a lot of water to the county. Well, the county went with Louisville Water in that decision making. They went away from chlorine producing treatment to chloramates.
Right.
And the city of Brandenburg is still a form of chlorine in the two.
It's like chlorinides or something like that, right?
It's
a subtle difference, but it's subtle.
Yeah. But the problem is it won't hurt you. But if you mix them, it's not lethal. It just smells.
I hear it affects. The differences can affect, or a mixture could affect things like chemotherapy and not chemotherapy. I'm sorry, it's dialysis.
Yeah, probably.
So I know that was a big thing when they had to because we switch. We buy our water through Hardin County, who buys it from Louisville. So when Hardin County decided to buy from Louisville, that's when we had to switch ours.
Correct. That's correct.
Because they had to switch, which means we switch, because we have really no control over it other than we can buy our water somewhere else. But only the city of Brandenburg is the only place we can really buy it from.
Of course, the one thing is the county's growing so rapidly it doesn't even work with them to be able to buy from Breckenridge County, which is in Holt's Bottom, that there's their plant, and they use reverse osmosis, was their treatment.
Yeah,
and it's just too hard. It's tough when you're totally relying on somebody else for the water. It puts the district in a tough spot when something's not working right.
Yeah, I really appreciate Judge Koch and his thoughts about in the future. We've got to have more control over our own destiny with this and put our own system in. So, but what else is going on in with the city of Brandenburg? We got water.
Okay. We've got water, sewer, almost both of those.
Are we still seeing, what about growth as far as, companies? Are we still seeing companies come in for, to support Nucor?
My other hat. So.
I keep forgetting how many hats you wear.
The Industrial Authority I gave a report to our board, sometime in the last month. And right now we have 27 projects working for our community right now, and that's actually from.
These are companies coming in, projects.
That's all the way from restaurants to companies, and right now, and it's.
So you got a secret insider trading on which restaurants are coming?
Boy, I lost a good one. I put 18 months into. I thought Drake's was coming to Brandenburg.
Oh wow!
We worked hard on that. And then the 5,000 job announcement in Hardin County, they're going to Elizabethtown.
Man.
I threw everything out there. I said, look, you're just going to be a minnow in a big lake or ocean. And I said, here, you're going to be a whale in a pond.
Yeah.
Just trying to let them understand what that meant. And, the projects we're working in, and 3 of those are basically already, 2 of them are already operational. That's SMS, Levy. Both are already operational at Nucor. The third one is just making Their building's probably 2/3 complete. It's called Klockner Metals. They're
I know Klockner.
German-owned company, and they came in. They interviewed this week. We gave them tours of the Career Center. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I was. I used to do some like Lean Six Sigma training and continuous improvement training, and so I worked with Klockner has a place in like Clarksville or something over there that they. So we went in to talk to them about doing some. They called us over there to ask us, to quote them. So we quoted them some pricing. But it was so I got to know them a little bit. That's seems like a pretty good group.
Yeah, we got to meet the manager's going to be here. The HR director has been here. This will be one of 28 spots that she has. They have 55 sites now, and they're German owned. They have a division in the United States, and a lot of the steel will go overseas through them. Of course, then we have Eddie Kane Steel. They're rolling up here next to the bowling alley. Yeah, their building's not up yet, but it should be.
They got a Kwanzaa hut, right? Basically,
2 of those right now, and hopefully their building will come under structure sometime April, May, something in that. It's a huge building, 140 by 400. So
that's big.
A lot of areas. They got right now. I think will be somewhere new course 460 some full-time employees. They have SMS probably has 25 or so employees. Levy has somewhere in the 75 range. Klockner will be 87 plus when they get operational. So all of a sudden we're way above our 400 jobs. We're going to be closer with the maintenance going on every day, and it's like somewhere in the 700-800 jobs a day. And
more direct than not necessarily the restaurants and things, right?
No,
not the support.
That's strictly on
this
that
is
side.
This is just on the We if you said it's 150, I don't know. Did you say 150 by 400?
It's 140 by 400.
140 by 400. So just to kind of give an idea, if anyone out there is familiar with Journey Church in Brandenburg, the old skating rink, that skating rink building is 100 by 200. So it's
half,
it's double and another third, right, or something like that. So that's a big building.
And those are the things. I mean, all of them have joined the chamber, and through the Kentucky Cabinet of Economic Development, we work with them, and all the study work we show right now. And this is possibly a little dated. Every dollar that's earned on that site turns over 7 times within your community.
Yeah.
So we did give some things away to get that here, but the number of jobs you
didn't. In my book, you didn't give anything away. You invested.
That's correct.
Because it's no different than you getting that tax money and then investing it in the infrastructure and all the things that you need to do to attract more business. It's really the same thing. If you give them incentives to come here, and help them come and build, because that's what they're doing. You're giving them, you're helping them get money. Think of it like if you wanted a pro sports team to come to Louisville. Well, Louisville's going to have to give some money to build the stadiums and the things like that for them to come here, to be attracted to the area. It's the same thing.
Correct.
It's exactly the same thing. So we give them like 20 years of tax relief or something like that.
This has the potential up to 30, but it does give you like the long term for training.
Now they're paying taxes on the electric bill, right?
Well, that's over 3%, and that's where they're already. I was getting ready.
It's all electric. Everything they do there is electric.
Everything's electric. Their arc furnace is electric. So that was one of the things that when we were negotiating my previous life was Meade County Rural Electric, and the deal that was worked out through Big Rivers Electric, Meade County RECC, and Nucor has solidified the rates for our 22 counties in western Kentucky, including Meade County, to make sure those rates don't have to climb.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is remember, if I remember, it was about 15 years ago or something that we were paying like 7 cents a kilowatt hour, right, or 6.5 or 7 or something like that.
Started
I think it was
6.5.
Yeah, and but then they had the Big Rivers had those two smelters closed. Aluminum, but are both aluminum?
They both went out on the open market.
Right, and
retail wheeling.
Yeah, so they left the system, the electric system, and Big Rivers had to find a way to make money to pay for the system, and because the system existed,
Right.
and so they had to go. You can't just shut down the grid. You have to, once you build it, you have to sell it to pay for it.
Then we had to serve them.
Yeah.
Still, even though they left you still had to make it where you could get power anywhere in the United States. If the smelter bought it, it had to be delivered by Big Rivers to
Exactly,
them.
right.
So it was a complicated ordeal, and it was really worked out good for Big Rivers. They sold power all over the United States and made good money. Big Rivers is probably in the best position it's been in years.
But now putting Nucor here inside the system,
Correct.
and as an inside, that helps us stabilize all that, because our rates went up. I think we paid 10 cents, 10 and a half.
Quite 9.5.
9.5.
Not quite 10 yet.
Yeah, so I mean that was a big jump, but that was again 15 years ago. It wasn't like it happened like yesterday. I see all that stuff on Facebook about I said, guys, you're using more electricity is the reason your bill went up. It's
We
not
don't
because
have a button.
there's no
ROCC does.
nobody because it takes it's literally like an act of Congress almost. Not really Congress, for an electric for a utility to raise their rates, because it has to go to the board to get permission to raise the rate. So it's a completely regulated.
The board has to approve it on the local level. Then you have to submit probably one of the most expensive things that can go on. You do a rate case, and you have to hire individuals, and you bring in all these consultants to put that case. You plead your case, and I don't care if you can prove you need a 2-cent raise, we'll give you one. And you never get what you ask for.
So three.
You
So
always
you
ask for 5 and get one. And it's really a challenge for the electric co-ops. And you'll see your base charge on there. That will probably fluctuate more than your rates ever will.
I talked to because I'm used to seeing it about the electric company in the wintertime, because everybody's using more electricity. Look at what you're using. Just go over and say, see that little kWh? It says, kilowatt hours. What was it this month versus last month?
And that's on your bill.
It's on the bill. Nobody's hiding any extra fees or anything like that. It's on the bill. And as a matter of fact, you can go look it up online, right, at RACC. You can go to the RACC and you can see the last 12 months. Actually, it's
24, I think.
It's actually longer than that. I want to say, because I think you can even go back and get the PDFs of the older.
You can go back. That's what's on there. Well, let me put a disclaimer real quick here.
Sure.
I'm no longer employed for Meade County RACC.
That's right.
So
That's right.
What David Pace's opinion here is David Pace's opinion.
Yeah, we're talking about as it was. David's talking about his knowledge as it was when he was there. Yeah. So
I'm not speaking for Meade County Rural Electric.
No.
Unless they like it.
But a lot of people get on Facebook and they say, oh, my rates, this is just unfair. But it's like, stop using it, right? Figure out how to conserve. How it was with us at the church, and we had to figure out how to conserve and how to put in new LED lights to get rid of all. You think that you have. I don't know how we're getting down this trail, but this is just my mind is going, I guess. But when you think about, everybody thinks if you have fluorescent lights, that it's cheap, but it's not. I mean it takes. Those ballasts takes a lot of power.
Well, that and even if you convert to the LED lights, if you didn't fix your ballasts are still drawing a ton of energy.
Anybody out there, do not go and do like the LED replacements, just the bulbs.
Yeah.
You need to switch out to the power supplies for the LEDs. You cannot just use those.
It will eat up the fuel of the
because you're still using those ballasts at the same power rating.
You can buy the bulbs. They have you cut them loose. They don't have to take them out. You just cut them loose.
Yeah, that's it. Rewire it.
Yeah.
And then the ballasts are actually in the ends of those replacement bulbs.
Right.
So, and it tells you which end is which too.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that you pay attention to what you're installing. So that
when we switch our other hat, we'll talk about what LED we've done for the fair.
Okay,
it's a big change out there.
Well, let's go ahead.
There's some exciting news about the fair this week.
We're kind of like we're holding off to get to the exciting stuff. So we've talked about what's going on in Brandenburg. We've talked a little bit about the companies that are moving in and things like that. And I know you said it was like 27 projects that are
some of them are
in the works.
So.
But now let's talk about the Meade County Fair. I mean, it's going to. There's a lot of stuff that you talked about the other day in the at the fair dinner.
It's our superintendent dinner, we call it. It's actually wrapping up 2023 and the new for 2024.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it we think is great news, and some of it is just things we had to do that are coming up. And, there's this one deal we're working on. I'm trying to think who that was with.
I know. It was, it wasn't the water. It wasn't the electric. It wasn't. This guy's a new guy to town, and he's a marketer. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I haven't.
Tell everybody, hey, we have mended our relationship, and that's a lot of trust, and I really appreciate that from the Messenger and Meade Media Group, because I don't, can't make up for what heartburn was the past, and I know we're changing our name a little bit and moving with the Messenger in a new direction, but it meant a lot to me to make that moment happen for us last week.
Well, the good thing is that I'll talk about this, and thank you all for coming. We appreciate you being there. You all are a big part of the fair. I mean, people just don't realize the time and effort you all put in. Correct, Kathy?
Yeah.
It's a big challenge. And, it is a thing that if you looked around that room, we had about 140, 50 people there the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And that group's there every day. At the fair, and they're there full force. Some of those guys,
it's awesome.
Cut their teeth there.
The community really needs to understand and think that the fair board, these are unpaid positions. Nobody's getting any money. They believe in this community. They want to serve this community, and one of the ways, because many people wear many hats in the community, like yourself. But one of the ways they like to do that is to put on one of the best fairs in Kentucky, and it takes a great team, it takes great leadership, it's a true community effort, and I'm just glad that we're just a little part of that.
We're third generation on our board now, so that's saying quite a bit. Where we have that kind of passed down. You don't ruin them when you're growing them up. And somebody said, well, why do you want all the kids to come to this? I said, that is the future of the Meade County Fair.
That's right.
I want them to be there. I want them to be there for our insurance won't allow much on work days, but 16 is great. We've really talked about trying to put together a junior fair board. It gives you kind of a feeder system, but I know Breckinridge County has done that. And it's kind of worked.
Well, it gives you a feeder system, but also gets you a kid's point of view of, hey, what are kids wanting to see? Right. What are some of the events that are out there? Because we get kind of like caught up in the things that we always liked when we were growing up. Well, that was 30 years ago or more, right?
Did you think you'd ever see a monster truck in the center arena of Meade County Fair?
I mean, not when I was. Well,
we did.
I tell you what. I wanted to see it when I was a kid. I mean, because that was really the back at the beginning of the monster truck movement was way back then in the '80s, right? When you had a couple Bigfoot, Gravedigger. It was just a couple of those I'll call them classic monster trucks, the one everybody knew about, and now they're just thousands of them, and the amount of money it goes into those things is just remarkable because it's a passion like tractor tractor pull,
same thing.
I mean really you're talking about a lot of the same amounts of money, the same types of sponsorships, and the effort and that you have to put into the time and effort that you have to put into building the machine.
Wheels on, wheels off, semis. You're traveling all night to get to tomorrow night's show. It's really a tough thing. But backing up, I should say that we are happy that the Messenger and the Meade County Fair have worked out for the Messenger to do the catalog.
I am so happy.
A little pressure there. The past one has produced 2 copies for us and one best in state 2 years in a row. So no pressure, but we'll make it work out. But we are happy.
Steve and the team will take care of you.
That's right.
We will take care of you.
If we didn't have faith in it, we wouldn't have done what we've done. We really appreciated him, Steve's group working with us, and we're excited. It's going to be good for the community. Nobody wanted 2 catalogs.
No, it was confusing.
It was terrible.
Hopefully we get to do some more stuff too this year. Obviously, with technology brings a whole lot of new innovation. So, I'm excited for what we can do together. I think what I'm more excited about is now that I'm here at the paper and I'm not working somewhere else, I get to spend my whole time there. You know what I mean? Invested in the fair this year. So I'm really excited to get in there.
Yeah, because I know what just for our little piece of doing the podcast from there, it was like Steve rolling in at 4:30, 4 or 5 o'clock, and we're trying to get everything set up and on the air, and it's like it had to be frustrating for you to kind of.
Oh my gosh! I'm hauling butt from Fort Knox. I mean, I was driving the speed limit from Fort Knox all the way to the fairgrounds.
Yeah,
and
you almost needed a police escort, I think.
Yeah, I should have coordinated that between counties. Should have started in Muldra and then all the way on into the 1630. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it took a minute to get.
That this podcast that we did at the fair, I enjoyed every bit of it. I mean, I thought it was a great platform to talk about like we are.
Absolutely.
But it led us to explain what happened last night, how bad the rain was, how bad it looked when we got there, how good it looked when people came that night. And
a lot of people don't get to see it. I mean, we got to get to the point, though, and this is something we'll have to talk about, but at some point we need to do some more live, broadcasting type stuff so people can see what's going on. And I guess
now, Mark, because that's we're working on negotiations right now. Don't be giving away all of our trade secrets.
Well,
we are talking because I think I'm like David. I don't want to be broadcasting everything, and then you just don't come to the fair, right? The whole point of the fair is to bring.
But we should do some things.
We can record it and play it back, and then people who couldn't make it, plus the people that compete in those things, they would have it for life. That there I was when I was 3 years old, and here's the playback. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking
pictures.
I'm thinking a little bit more on where I'm coming from is when there's the setup and the things that goes on, the people who are in the back,
absolutely.
You don't need. That's the kind of stories I want to see come out of the fair. And be able to appreciate those people more because a lot of people think, well, the fair just happens.
Well, I know somebody that owns a paper. They might be able to do some feature stories.
Well, I think we went over this last year. It was Thursday night. Started pouring down rain. We had probably 50 derby cars in that back pit. It was going to be one of the best demolition derbies ever. And the next morning when I got to the fairgrounds, it was terrible. And it was so uplifting for a fair board when we looked out there, not just the board that was there that could be. We had farmers coming in with skid steers, tractors, with boxes, and what can we do? And we started sending people. That's when we were able to reach out through the county, and we were able to get the old mulch that had to leave that burn.
Hey, now that's listen, that's the thing that got you named and crowned. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
that was the thing that got you.
One of the things.
That was one of the things. But I remember that day. I remember that very day very vividly. The next day.
I mean, that comes down to this. That had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that the negotiations and things that kind of broke down before that created.
I'm just saying the community came together in a short amount of time to solve a problem.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. That's
absolutely.
Right.
But others,
the county, the city, the fair, the farmers, the individuals.
Others felt that they might have gotten dethroned because of the ability to coordinate without their involvement. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
It worked well. We did get rid of it. We've rocked all that area now, so it was one of the best things we've done. We've got a great parking lot to the front, so. So my next big announcement for the 2024 fair is on Wednesday. we will have first time during the fair event. We've had them at the fairgrounds in the past as a standalone.
Number one requested in the surveys.
That's correct. With Lone Star Rodeo will be coming, and we'll have a production deal for media for all those packages that we'll get some to you. We'll probably bring it back again to talk about. I've kind of got a general breakdown of all the different events they're going to put on, but it will be in our back arena, and then we're working with a local band to put some entertainment in our main arena. Be younger group that we talked about a while ago. So I heard from some younger people that we're hopefully.
Well, used to battle the bands and things. They used to do that years ago, and it kind of comes and goes. I think it's one of those things when you got to kind of
change with the time.
Sometimes you got to change. Sometimes that's something that ebbs and flows. You'll get a lot of good local talent, and then there'll be a lot of call for it, and then it'll kind of die off over a couple of years, and somebody will want something else. But that's the thing, is that the fair has been flexible to the point where it takes into consideration what the community's looking for as far as entertainment goes.
You have to listen to the people. Yeah. And that's the thing I tell folks all the time. We may not be able to do it immediately, but we will. It's taken us a good while to make the rodeo work. This will be the first time since the mid-'80s that we won't have a mudsling. First time. Yeah. But it's just gone off to nothing.
I think you quoted like 1989 that started.
Yeah, I remember the first one. We were still here in the area. Well, we've always been here in the area, really, but I went off to school for a few years there. When I came back, it was still up and running, and it was running every year, forever. But when we started doing the tickets, we saw fewer and fewer vehicles coming in year over year. So we've been doing that 4 years or so now,
at least.
At least we've been doing 4 or 5 years, and so, So I think that every year it's like. And we understand, we see it because it those vehicles have to come through our gates, and it's a disruption to the entire game. So it's just part of it. I mean, but I've seen the fairgrounds grow up so much over the last.
That's the one thing that I like to share. I've almost become a historian on the fair and the fairgrounds, and I've got old pictures where behind the fair also it's all gravel. Used to be a sinkhole 50, 60 feet deep. And we've gone over and we've done environmental layouts, fixed those holes so we keep them open for drainage, and we terrace those in, and we gravel parking lots. We've blacktopped. I mean, we've tried to bring the fairgrounds up, and the two things we've gotten the most praise for, number one, bathrooms.
Yep.
And not many fairs offer air-conditioned bathrooms, and the ladies' bathroom looks like the airport. There's 19 stalls on the ladies' side, and I'm proud of that. I like for people to see it.
Absolutely.
When we show it off,
and they're nice, modern, clean bathrooms. And they're taken care of.
Also, your group does that for us. We keep a group.
I didn't mean to brag about it, but
they keep it clean all night. I mean, we don't want to go up there and you're walking on paper towels 4 or 5 inches deep. We want it to be exactly what you said when you go in there. It makes that difference. So
it does.
So that's two things that were the big announcement. The third announcement, and I'm going to quantify why this is happening. We are raising the cost of the gate to $15 from $12. And the reason that happened is, and I kind of explained a little bit with you all.
Yeah.
We've had one carnival group. It was the Kissel Entertainment. It's been Kissel Family. It's been Kissel Brothers. It's been Kissel Rides and Shows. Now it's Kissel Entertainment. They're great partners with the fair. Please don't take this raise in cost being just them. It's not. It is, but it isn't.
Inflation has not helped our country. Let's get that on the table.
I mean, I was really surprised it didn't go up last year.
Yeah, probably should have. But one of the things we looked at was how do we make the fair stay a family affair at affordable prices, our slogan. Right. And our goal is to make that gate stay there. If you look at our raises over the years, we've been late in doing it. But we've always tried to counter that cost by utilizing other resources of income. And we were lucky that we had Nucor. We were lucky we had Ford. And that kept our gate down
Yeah.
We probably should have raised it last year. With the Kissel family, we went out of contract. This last fair was their last one, and they were looking at other bigger venues
because they pull in more money.
They would have millions of people instead of 35,000 people.
Right.
So, and you couldn't blame them. I mean, they've been good to us, but the thing came down to keep that entertainment. And the biggest thing to me is I want it to be somebody you can work with, got great equipment, but I want it to be on our week.
Right.
We've always been that
full
last
week
of July.
That's right.
And we stress that. So we were fortunate enough with Kissel Entertainment's working with us, and it took almost 2 years to get to the signed contract. So we do have a new 4-year contract. Probably start this year working on an extension.
Yeah.
And our goal is to keep that going forward and to keep those good folks. It takes that money to be able to pay them.
It does.
Folks don't realize the fair's costs don't stay steady. And I tell all the food booths that every year, look at your costs. Just because you sold a hamburger for $6 last year doesn't mean you can sell it for $6 this year.
Yeah, I mean, especially a hamburger.
Especially a hamburger.
Especially
if you go out there, it's a lot higher. Locally,
I mean, you go buy a pound of hamburger is like what, $6-7 or something like that. So I mean, by the time you put it on a bun, put some cheese on it, it's it's outrageous.
I want to reemphasize that cost raise. It sounds like a lot. But when you look at it, when you're bringing a family, that's where it hurts. If you have 3 or 4 children, you're paying for 5 folks. We try to make that still affordable. Go to a movie, go to eat anywhere you want to go. Any kind of entertainment is for an hour. You come at 3 o'clock and stay till midnight.
That's right. And everything is included except for food. Food and drinks, everything's included. So you go ride the rides. Kids can go ride the rides. I don't ride rides anymore. So
the events, everything.
All the events, everything, one price at the gate. And I get a lot of people say, well, I don't ride rides, so I'm just coming for the event. So can I get a price without the rides? But what people don't understand, and you've explained this to me in the past, so I'm going to steal this a little bit from you, but is that when you go to the fair, in order to make it a family affair, to keep it in the community, to make it affordable for families, those who don't ride rides still pay the full price because that helps offset what it would cost a family to be able to what you have to pay Kissel for it. So that Kissel gets 36,000 people, their share of 36,000 people versus the
the additional money they get for the tickets.
I mean, because like we've talked about in the past, they would like to do the $20. It used to be $20. It's probably $30 now,
or more.
Yeah, it's probably $30 or $40 now to do the wristbands that they would used to do. And I remember as a kid, we did tickets, right? There was like ride tickets and stuff back in the 80s and 70s and 80s and stuff when I first remember. But I remember when it went to one price too. And
the
it helped.
Family invented that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it helped. It helped families like ours. We didn't have a lot of money. I wouldn't call us poor, but it was tough for a family of 5 kids and mom and dad trying to take the kids to the fair, and we couldn't go every day.
Right.
And that was but those type of things that type of. So that's something you all should be very proud of, and the Kissel family should be just as proud because.
And it is a partnership.
It is.
It really is.
It absolutely is.
We still will have on Wednesday will be Farm Bureau Day, so there will be a $1 discount for that day. So,
I know everybody out there likes it.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily like it because it's a totally different day of calculating what your ticket costs are. So,
and this will be the only day.
We can fix that in Square. You can fix that so it's an item and it's
well, yes. However, most people still pay with cash. So there's not a Square out there you're doing that. So I forget you haven't sold tickets yet.
I'm not going to.
You're gonna do a
no. I'm not doing a
shift.
I'm not
Thursday
doing a shift.
night.
Yeah. You're gonna do a shift with me this year.
Gate 3.
All right.
After we finish up our podcast and
Isn't
stuff.
Gate 3 the one that you let all the people in with the trucks and the stuff?
It's the pit gate.
You'll hear every story in the world. Some of them.
It's a great place to be, though. Let me tell you something. Because of the stories
the food
and the food. I introduced him to the food, the pit food last year. So
I'm a bit of a fair foodie dude. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We have a lot of great food, great people that work those food booths. I mean, and we've told.
By the way, you didn't even mention the growth and the improvement of the more space on those with all the improvements and not to mention the water rack, because we had our top
the watch rack
Jamie Barger as the fair person of the year, for putting that in it, and that's just well designed, given the space and the accommodation. But the food, go ahead.
But that's volunteers, and we talk about this, and we're so proud that we can go to our conventions, and I'm proud of my fair board because they come to classes and they go to these. They dedicate a weekend in January just for classes to train on the fair, and we come home and we try to spread that information, and that's where I talked about those food booths. But when we start doing a head count, and we love to be able to go to that convention and say, we're probably missing several, but we can name about 1,000 volunteers that help our fair.
Yeah.
From work days, booths, people working in the food booths, people working. I mean, it takes 25 people to put on a truck pull. You've got people on tractors, people on the track, people never see a truck pull. They're in those pits working day and night, and we're expanding that again right now. Like I told y'all last year, if you got to go back there Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, there wasn't 6 foot of gravel anywhere that you could put something else on. And we just spent a lot of money making that big.
You almost couldn't move. I mean, it was well orchestrated so you could move, but it was like to the point where it's like you had to be patient.
So I've been working on a new design for the pit. So we're adding into it. What we have planned right now is where all the semis get there on Thursday night, unfortunately, before we're ready for them. Then Friday morning, you got to move them while you're cleaning up all the debris from the demolition derby. We're going to have flags at each one of the parking spots on the outside.
So they know exactly
where to go. And then if they sit there until they leave, then we'll pick up the debris after that, but it'll be expanded. Then we'll have a second row where they'll mirror those. So we hopefully will have a little more rhyme to our reason when people are coming in. They just don't realize, well, we're just going to park here. Well, you don't realize there's 4 going to park where you're wanting to park.
Yeah.
And you just got to sell. But they're great people to work with. The pullers are great.
They understand. I mean, they do this every day or through the summer anyway, and because they're hitting all the events. Oh, actually, I guess in the winter months are down south, and
a lot of those are coming from out west. I mean, there's people driving from Wisconsin way out. All over the United States.
It's a true show.
And the NTPA, we were able to sign a brand new 4-year contract with them because of Kissel. We signed a brand new 4-year contract, Battle of Bluegrass.
And so it's 3. It's normally 3 nights, right? The Battle of the Bluegrass is still Tuesday night.
Right.
Thursday or Friday, Saturday is NTPA.
And then on Monday, Thursday are going to still be the Demolition Derby. Wednesday's we were looking how we could move that to the weekend. We were going to have to change 4 days of events to make that work. So this was the easiest to drop those Wednesday night events and put that. Is it going to be as big as it would be on Friday or Saturday? Maybe not. But if we put on a great product, it could be next year.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to chime in. Tom Ballinger for State Senate, 5th District, he chimed in on our show. He said, the long-term contract will ensure quality and longevity of the fair for years to come. So I just want to give that shout out.
We appreciate that because that is our goal. If we do our best to make that, and we want it to be, and things like that, we're so proud of our fair. I mean, it's not the 10 fair board members or the 3 secretaries, even though I want to emphasize we're there for 0. We make 0. I remember saying this last year at fair. The secretaries get a small stipend for being there. They give up their fare to sit in there and work
because they're not at the fair. They're just working.
They work at the fair, and that's the tough part for us. And it's tough when you go out and you do all this work. You try to make it, and then you get the negatives that you hear about. Those things, we have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
The fair board, we're open above board. We do the things we have to do. They're by the state to keep our 501c3 intact. Then we have an accounting firm that does all of our paperwork, files all that with the state. Everything's intact and in order. And like I said, if somebody's got a question, all you got to do is call me.
Yeah.
We'll sit down. I'll explain anything you've got. We're not afraid to talk about the fair.
I'm pretty sure you'd even come on here and talk to us about it.
Well, anytime you want. So.
Well, you can actually chat in right now and ask a question if you really wanted to go live. So I'm just saying.
I didn't bring the phone today.
No,
so
they can do it in the chat.
So,
I'm watching the chat right now.
If you want to call 270-945-4414,
or
I can get you on the air if you want to talk.
We can bring you right here on the show right now.
Let me just
That's
make
right.
sure that I am connected. So,
I say,
I am connected. So we are live. We our phone is open. 270-945-4414. And if you want to call in and ask a question.
Our fairgrounds was purchased in like 1951. It was 52 acres but it's owned by Meade County Farm Bureau.
Right.
We had
it's a lease,
perpetuating lease for 20 years at a time. Every year it moves forward to continue that, so that we can apply for grants, things like that. That's how we're able to, just like the wash rack.
Yeah, because you have to show stability to be able to get grants.
Well, they're not going to give you $100,000 and you may not be there next year. A lot of fairs have done that. Their community took the ground, their government owned them, and they saw, hey, we can sell that for an industrial park and get 5 times what it would bring. And a lot of fairs are having to go to community. We would have to meet Olin Park for a fair. What that would be like.
That would be
go in there.
That would
be terrible.
Talking about no parking.
I know.
Oh, it's already.
And that's the thing. What we love the best about those investments. And I told you I was a historian. We have a document that was.
I've got an idea for you on that, by the way.
A notice of indebtedness. Everybody was on the fair board in the 50s, signed their life away to buy fairgrounds. They each one signed for $25. To buy the ground.
Wow.
Hauled concrete blocks from Louisville or West Point to do the old food booth, the old home and garden building.
Yeah.
And everybody's talked about, well, they'll never drive that far out of town to go to a fair.
Oh, they do.
So, it's how times have changed.
Absolutely do.
And we rent ground all the way around us now, and luckily we've got great neighbors that really work with us to make that work.
I mean, this is one of the best fairs in the state of Kentucky. I think it is the best, but I don't want to.
We do too.
Well, hold on.
I don't want to overstate, but at the same time, I mean, and people.
So
you got to think about that. Like Jefferson County doesn't have a fair, right?
They
just have
do
the state
have
fair,
one, but it's nothing like what we.
Well, let me just start off on the roll call here. I will tell you exactly how awesome this fair is. So let me tell you, they did a dinner this week.
And the one that I take great pride in is the most progressive fair award. It's in we have to win your zone to be eligible to win the state one. Of course, we've won that twice in the past, and they try to pass it around. We realize that, and our fair is at such a level to continue to maintain and grow is saying a lot for our community and our fair to be able to do that. The Show Your Colors Award is where I compliment our entire fair board, their spouses go to those meetings. Well, we have a lot of people that come there. It's how we've got the largest delegation of all 80-some fairs across the state that showed at the convention, those drawing. But the one that means as much to me as any of them is that All Kentucky County Fair Award. That's where you've utilized everything financially that's available to you. You work with the state on your forms you have, and that's where the secretaries shine for us. They do such a great job of all that handwritten entries from that home and garden bill have to be converted into the computer. So it's thousands of entries that they have to put in, and they do such a great job. But that's probably 27, 28 years in a row we've won that award.
Wow.
And if you come to our fair office, I plaster the walls.
Yeah,
I'm so
I've seen them.
I tell everybody, I say, hey, they said, why do you want to put all that up? I said, I want everybody at that window to see what this fair means.
Yep.
And that's them doing it. It's not us doing it.
That's right. Every person that volunteers a second is part of that.
Yes. I mean, we tell them it's their award, and I try to tell everybody else that, the whole goal of this is it make our fair a family affair.
Yeah.
And, I've got 4 or 5 generations there on work days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's really, and it's kind of a shout out for Buck Grove Baptist Church on Thursday night of work days. They bring ice cream sandwiches for everybody that works. I mean, it's just those little things that mean so much. And the food booth folks, and I should have mentioned that earlier, we doubled the size of the 5 main booths. The others were already double sized. Then we added basically a 10 by 40 booth space on the back of them, remodeled the insides, insulated the roofs, and everybody said it was just unreal what much space they gained.
I'm just waiting for you to dome the main arena. That's what I'm pushing for.
Did you think you'd ever see a tunnel at the Meade County Fair?
Oh, I'm telling you.
Hey, it's been discussed. If we figured out how we could stop the water going to the bowl, it probably would have a canopy over it. Nuclear steel makes beams, so
yeah,
I'm not going to say anything's not possible.
No, that's right. I do wish you had more. I do wish you had more of the box seats, because we would like that one, obviously. But
I'll explain that a little bit. Yeah. In our surveys, as we talked about, and Steve mentioned just a few minutes ago, the surveys. We get a lot of people that put on there, we would like to have a box seat so we can have our stuff there. And then the next one comes in, don't take all the lawn chair seating away. We love to sit in our lawn chairs in the shade. And it's a twofold. It's kind of a balance.
Where do you put them? Yeah.
We've already got a drawing of adding about 30 more box seats, but it's a tough little area. It's going to be expensive. And, the sad part is they're too cheap. Yeah. Nobody gives them up because they're $100 for the week.
Yeah.
And you can see
you and I talked about that before. I said, maybe there's some seat licensing. Yeah, there's some seat licensing. Do like the universities do, where you have to give to the K Fund to get your Kentucky tickets every year.
And it just goes on and up the hill. We've got a lot of ideas of areas to make them. We've talked about going behind the green set of bleachers on I guess it's the south side of the arena. We're talking about building. Could we put a structure back there that have boxes, not just have you like 8 seats out in front of it, where you could rent them to people and food booths could serve them food up there or have food booths under them. I mean, that's the one thing, you have to walk a little bit at our fairgrounds, but the issue is,
it's not
I mentioned earlier, it's a 1951 fairgrounds.
Yeah.
That was designed for 700-800 people to be at the Meade County Fair, and we have 10 to 12,000 people on a night there. It's hard to get around, and sometimes if we had it any closer, it would be a nightmare. We probably should have moved the barns back when we rebuilt all them, and that's one thing my fair board.
That could have been an opportunity there.
Could have spread out
because then you got a little bit more. You could have put more booths on the other side, and that's true.
Just FYI. When I went to give you guys the updates on those awards, nobody heard me. The whole show, and I just got to chat, so I got it fixed while we're in the show. So if you can hear me now, give me a thumbs up in the chat. But
they can hear us, but not you.
Yeah, that's it. Setting.
That works for me anyway.
It's all good. They can hear me here. You're probably glad you couldn't hear me in the audience.
I was going to ask you.
That's growing pains.
Now, I mean, I'm back on the screen, and you guys are not on, but hopefully they can hear me now. I'm at least seeing it in here, and we'll get it better as it goes. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just that if you all understand how these setups work, I mean, every time you build a scene in the software, you have to bring in the video, you have to bring in the audio, and every audio, my audio, your audio, and Steve's audio, you have to bring all that in to say, okay, now you can hear it all. So if you miss one, and a lot of times you forget yourself.
It was practically when I would come up on camera because I was cut to that new scene. So thanks to Annette out there, you have helped me fix the problem. Yay! Applause. Hold on.
No, that's a laugh track. So
there it is. There it is. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to say it myself. I've tried to tell you all this many times. I thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Your support for the fair, your support for me and the community. I want you to realize how much that means to myself and my families. And
it's family.
And
it is
what it is.
This whole community is about that. That's what listen. I'm gonna tell you guys like this. This whole show started like, I don't know, 3 years now, Mark?
I think this is our third year. We're in our third year.
This is our third year we've been doing this. And now that Meade Media Group owns the Messenger, there's more to do for our community with the platform, and we're going to continue to do it, and we're going to continue to go and support the fair and so many other community things that are happening in our community. So you guys stay tuned out there. Mark, back to you.
Well, I think that we're about ready to wrap up. So it's, David, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
I enjoyed it. I'll tell you
I always enjoy talking about the fair and talking about what's going on in the community, and it's always a pleasure to have you here with us. But guys, we're going to be signing off here in a few minutes. And one thing I wanted to talk about is next for the Meade County Republican Party, we'll be having our countywide mass meeting, and that's to approve our delegates to go to the district and state conventions. That's next Saturday, the 16th, not tomorrow, but the next week. It's the 16th at the fairgrounds of all places, and we will be in the Home and Garden Center building, and that's going to be at registration will be at 9:30. The meeting will start around 10:30. So, the registration will start at 9, and it'll be at 10:30. So, come out. That's all Republicans who were registered at the as of December 31st, 2023, are invited out for this meeting. They're all eligible to vote and have a say in this process. And I would love to see you all come out. So please come out and support the party. And on another note, David, thank you again for coming. Steve, thanks for hosting and getting us up and running here, man. Thanks for all you do for the show and for our community.
Hey, thanks. Hey, listen, for you're out there, stay tuned for more to come. It's only going to get better with time, and I apologize for all the communications piece. There was a lot of good content. At least you got the back end of the questions answered. And for those tuned in tonight, we had 8 on from the Messenger, a couple from the Meade Truth, and, we're broadcasting live. So there's no, if we mess up, it's real.
It happens.
It does.
You know it, and we know. Well, actually, we don't always know it. So thank you for those who are
watching. And
normally Kathy's the one that tells me, "Hey, I can't hear you," but she's sitting behind me, so that's a little tough. But anyway, thanks and have a good night.
Yep. See you guys.